Good morning. Coffee. Mid-brew. There we go. It's late. I slept in. I got a few comments, and they're my comments as well. Lee, you seem different. Lee, you seem tired. I am. I really am. I slept in today, so. I mean, it's like, I don't know, for a lot of you, it'll be like, wow, that's early. It's like 7 o'clock, but to not be getting coffee until 7 o'clock, I'm usually up, and even here on my days off, I'm getting a good spot at the park by like 5:30 because they go fast. The ones with the shade go fast. Which kind of amazing because, I mean, Reno does get hot, and so does Tucson. But Tucson had so much more covered parking because it is hot there. They prepared for it. I don't think they really prepared here. But anyways, do I look tired? Probably. Yeah. I wonder why. I think it's more my body language. Maybe the bags under my eyes. I'm fine. Yeah. If you only knew, and some of you know, how grueling it is for 10 hours a day. 10 hours. 10 hours. I mean, 1 hour would be like, wow. Let me put this away. 10 hours a day. Lifting boxes. Yeah. Or doing something. Moving things along. Moving the mail. Moving these big boxes along. I mean, it's, you're doing something with them. You're opening them. You're closing them. You're taping them up. You're lifting them. You're lifting them into pallets. Oh yeah. I mean, really, it's crazy. That's what I do for 10 hours. That's why I'm getting some muscles. And a lot of people say I was getting these particularly heavy boxes like over and over. I'm like, whoa. And somebody says, well, you know, it's good exercise. Yeah, going to the gym. Who goes to the gym for 10 hours a day? Seriously. Yeah. So I think it is, it's building my body up. That's why I got some things with protein in it. Let me do a little bit of yeah. Whatever that word is. Yeah, that's how. I woke up and my head kind of hurt too. It's like, a little bit of a pressure headache. It's going away. I did not take anything for it. I just felt like, darn it, no. Yeah, I was taking a lot of, in the beginning. I had to take a lot of ibuprofen. In the beginning when I started, because my back wasn't used to it, and yeah. And then I had an ankle issue when I first started. I don't know where that came from. That wasn't even from work, but I had a little bit of an ankle. It's like my foot was down, but it was in this ankle. It's like it was, somehow it had twisted. But that's fine. And then my arms went numb like the first 3 weeks. At night, my arm would go numb. It's fine now. I get your body. It's amazing what your body just gets used to. So, I apologize doing another video in my van, but it is awful pretty now, isn't it? With the purple things going on. It's very, I went to Walmart again. I was just too tired to turn on my video. But I did get a little candle. I always wanted to get a little candle. And just at night, it's like apple spice, and it's my favorite. And I did turn it on last night. I was watching a program. There's a guy out there, he pulled up. I've been watching him. You know, a lot of people, I did mention, I'm going to change the subject here. I got a candle, okay. I did mention that the one guy that was parked next to me last week, and he pulled up, he was so close, and I mentioned, like, he just sat there, and he looked kind of, Well, a lot of you did make a comment, and you said, well, you know, sometimes people just sit in their seat and everything. I don't think that I clarified enough how unsavory he looked. He was like, yeah. Well, I've been watching this guy out here where, and he was parked over there. There are some unsavory, I can't say it with even more gusto than it should, characters in this area in Reno. There really are. And they're homeless. And you know they're homeless. And, hey, you know, I said that in a weird way. I'm homeless. Yeah. But I've lived long enough that I do have a degree in this area. There are some, they have body language and the way they carry themselves, very unsavory. Unsafe. They're unsafe. And this guy, that's why I was looking at this guy. He pulled up even closer. He said, don't worry about me because I'm going to be leaving pretty soon. But, yeah. Yeah. Anyways, that's why I was looking out there. So, sorry. And I'm not trying to judge anybody. I'm just being safe as a female. And, so I have had to be a little bit more careful in Reno area because there's so many homeless people living in their cars. And they were forced in their cars. They don't want to be in their cars, you know, but they can't afford rent, and they became homeless because they lost. And that was even before the COVID thing. Their rents were going sky high and they were being forced out. Or they lost their jobs, or they drink too much, and you know, they're smoking pot and everything. But the thing that I've had to be a little careful about in this area, it's not like boondocking out with other nomads, who we all kind of have the same things. But I had to be very careful because I knew I had more than they did. And they would see me take my solar out. They would see me take my power stations out. And, yeah, I mean, they saw I had more. And and towards the end, I started feeling a little uncomfortable. There were little comments made like, well, where did you get all this stuff? And what, you know, like, so I realized at that point that I need to leave the area. Yeah. It's like, well, where do you think I got it? I work for it. Well, you think I stole it or something, you know? This is going off in a different direction that I wanted this video to, but, yeah, it was very strange. So you do have to be careful, especially when you do cities and you're in a lot of parks and things. That and I never felt that in Tucson ever, but here I do. I did feel that. There are I just can't say it enough. There are so many people living here in Reno in their cars. Run down cars that barely run, and they're living in the parks. This is the way it is here. That's my biggest surprise. So what I want to address is how I downsized in the very beginning. I had a comment and a lot of questions from one of you, and asked me how the process went for me. It went easy for me because once I had it in my head that I was going to do this and get started, because it revolved around my daughter moving to Cincinnati. And I really missed her, and I missed my granddaughter. And I had been studying this lifestyle for like 2 years previously, and I knew I was going to do it at some point, and it just seemed like, wow, this is it. This is the catalyst that is going to push me forward. So I was excited. And so, yeah, I started getting rid. I had 1 month, and I didn't have my van yet. In the very beginning, I didn't have my minivan. I knew that's what I wanted. I knew I didn't want to build out. I knew these things beforehand. I'd seen so many videos. I knew I was going to get a minivan. But I had a sedan at that point, and I thought, if I don't find my minivan right away, I'm just going to move into my sedan. Because I remember Dee. Remember Dee on Cheap RV Living? Dee was great, and she was in her sedan for a while. Now I think she's called Box Van Dee. She does have a box van, so that's really cool. I really like Dee, and I met her at the RTR. Wonderful. And I'll look for her again. She does have some health issues. I hope she's okay. Prayers for Dee. Hi, Dee, if you're watching. Yeah. But it was easy for me. I knew I was going to, if anything, I was going to put everything in storage that I was going to keep, and I was going to get in my car, and I was going to hang out until I could find my minivan. But as it turned out, it's kind of a funny story. I was going to start looking, but something that I think the Holy Spirit just said, don't look yet. Stop. Don't look. And I flew to Cincinnati. I wanted to check out, what they had going on there. They had just bought this huge house. They bought it with me in mind of staying there with them. And I had my own little section of the house with my own door and everything, because I was going to watch my granddaughter while my daughter was doing her thing. So I was like, okay, and I was going to drive over there with my minivan. That's how I was going to get started. In fact, the first year I was going to devote to them. And then I flew back. I loved it. I flew back. And that night, it was like the Holy Spirit said, look. And I did, and I called them. The next day, I laid the money down. Look at it. Thank you, God. I feel like God gave me this minivan. It had 146,000 miles on it. It looked well maintained. And so now it's got 171. So I put like 30,000 miles on it. Yeah. Cheers. Here's your coffee. Yeah. We shared the same cup. Wipe it off. I forgot to give you coffee. Okay, so how did it all work? I started throwing things away. Like food, like I was into health foods. I was very healthy. And I did like whole grains. I had like the curd jars. It was almost like a little country kitchen. I had the curd jars of like all 3-4 different kinds of rice, chickpeas, beans, adoki beans, yeah, I cooked, and I told you that I did soups, and I did bread, and all kinds of flours, so I knew I had to get rid of that stuff. I did. What are you going to do with it? Who are you going to find? Hey, do you want my jar of flour? Nah, and I was in the university area, a really posh area. And those students weren't going to take they weren't going to take my flowers and my beans, So I had to throw a lot of things away. I know, it's awful, but I did. And I started like going through my kitchen was going to be the worst, I knew. And so I started organizing things. Then when I got to a certain point, I told my kids that, that were still in Tucson, I said, come and take what you want. Just take. So they took what they wanted. There was special. They took what they wanted. My back room, I had a back sunroom. And that I had cleaned that out before. I'd cleaned out the back room before. And because I knew that there was stuff back there nobody would want it. I was kind of a prepper. And so, yeah, I had to get rid of some of the water that I was storing and things like that. Yeah, I watered the plants with it. Don't worry, I didn't just dump it down the sink, I took it out, and it was hard work, but I kept going all the time. I just kept going. I didn't stop. I'd wake up and I would get going, and at night I'd take a bath and fall in bed. That's what I did every day. Almost like lifting boxes for 10 hours. Yeah, that's what I did all day long. That's all. I was making notes. I made lists. Got to do this, got to do this. So I cleaned out my back sunroom, and I knew that that was going to be the space that I put things in that I knew I wanted. So I was taking things back there. Kind of started filling up a little bit because I'd watched a lot of survival videos. I was so like, I had like my bug out bag and my get home bag and things like that. I knew what would be essential because I've studied things like this. This is what I'm interested in. So I knew what I would want, and then I kind of went with things like, this would make life kind of fun. So I knew things that really meant something to me, but that were practical to take. I had so many things that meant something to me, and those were probably the hardest. They were my everyday life things. I mentioned every night I would make to get ready for bed. I've been single a long time. No cats. I'm not a cat lady, but I would drink tea. I would go to bed early, but I would be on my iPad, and I would watch movies, or I'd be doing videos, or I did a lot of videos before. I'm jumping around, I know. But I did a lot of children's videos, and I was always coming up with new ideas. So I love to do videos. I love to edit videos. That's the fun part of videos, is editing them and coming up with creative ideas, So I'm anxious to get a laptop so I can get a better editing software, so I can do better, more creative videos for YouTube. So let's go back. So I had that back room, my back sunroom, and I was sticking things in there. Then the next stage was, one more time, inviting my kids over, telling them to bring their friends and the friends' parents and everything. I mean, I needed to get rid of everything. And it had to happen quickly, because I was going to leave by the end of, the end of September. Yeah, I started my nomad life October 1st. So, yeah, by the end of September, it all had to be done. So I had people just coming through, but they didn't go to the back area. And I mean everything, like power tools, everything. People really walked away with some nice stuff. And I'm glad. It's funny too. I mean, I didn't do it for that, but people, I remember Jesus said, give everything away and come follow me. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but I really didn't sell much. I literally did give everything away. I gave everything away. I gave my life away, basically. I did keep my artwork. I had a lot of paintings that I've done throughout the years, and drawings and things like that. And since my oldest daughter didn't get to partake in taking everything, I took all my paintings and gave them to her, and my drawings. That was the one thing I went across the country with. And I had to take everything out of the frames. Oh my gosh. Yeah, a lot of frames. I mean, like a lot. And I just stored them over here while I was traveling, and wrapped them up, and by big paintings, So her house, when I walk into her house, like, wow, there's all my artwork, yeah. And there's so much of it, she can't even put it all up, but maybe she'll start a museum for me or something, So yeah, I've definitely, I've always been artistic, so that back room got filled with things I thought that I would use. This is the end of part 1. Part 2 coming soon. Watch for it.